Hello and welcome to Upward Trajectory. Today I am happy to announce my guest, Bob Brumm, who is an encouragement engineer. And it's a really interesting title, and I'm sure you're as interested in me as hearing all about that and where the term encouragement engineer came from and how that all came to be. It sounds really exciting. So without further ado, welcome Bob to the show.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
So as I was mentioning, I'm sure there's a lot of curiosity out there. What is an encouragement engineer?
Well, thanks for asking. And it is always interesting to explain that because a lot of people look at you kind of like, what do you mean? And that comes from my background. When I was going to college, I initially wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be a constructional engineering major. I quickly found out that physics and Fortran were not my forte. And so I switched majors to business and accounting. And with that, you got to learn all the ins and outs of growth of business. And I spent 2 or 3 years during tax seasons punching numbers. And I soon found out that wasn't me either. And sitting there and crunching numbers, I'm a person that has to have activity. I've got to have action. I've got to move. I've got a lot of energy. And so what I realized was I needed to do something else. So I went into the technical field and into telecom and that field, and it grew with me. And so that idea of the encouragement engineer came from the idea of, with engineers, there's a lot of acronym soup. Okay, there's a lot of technical pieces.
Absolutely.
How often do you see an engineer that's out in front of talking to people and engaging the audience? How often do you see an accountant that does that? People say, well, accountants are boring. Well, they have a side to them that they're not boring. But a lot of times they communicate with acronym soup and with that scenario. And so people have a hard time connecting with that. And being in the IT field for 25 years, the same thing. A lot of acronyms, and people in the IT industry don't understand the business, and the business doesn't understand the IT. So when you can meld that and communicate those two sides properly, that's a key piece to, knowing that. And the key thing is to know that the people doing the work are people first. And that's important because a lot of times in the technical fields, it's about getting something done. It's about getting a feature done, getting a product out. But the people are the ones doing the work, and they're the ones that need that encouragement. And I think that's what's key with being an encouragement engineer is I understand the technical side, but I also understand the development side and the people side. And having those two come together is critical in our technical society and the way our society moves so quickly today.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. So you're talking about the relatability and the communication portion of it, because everybody can understand that engineers can talk tech, and a lot of people can get lost in that. I personally graduated as a computer engineer, and I could get lost in the talking tech. And I agree with you. You lose the relatability, you lose the communication and the connectivity. So can you expand upon? So encouragement kind of goes beyond and has more of a positive realm feel to it. Can you go beyond that and explain how that comes into play?
Sure. A lot of times and you know this being in the technical field as well, it's not all about the functions, the features, and the numbers. It's about, the people. And they can get inundated with the project, or they can get inundated with a process. You go into any technical meeting and you can go into the weeds very quickly. But what are the people feeling? How are they dealing with that? What are they doing for their growth? Because a lot of times we're moving at such a warp speed, you don't have time for that development. You don't have time for that personal side. You don't know the person you've been working next to for 20 years. You know when they take lunch, you know when they get on calls, but you don't know them as a person. And that encouragement allows you to see that person, allows you to see what's inside. What's the real value of the person? Because they're the ones doing the work. And when you get to know that person really well, I'm not saying you have to know every detail about them, but understand how they work, what helps them to strive, what helps them to improve and have fun with their job, because we're going to be in scenarios that are tough. We're going to be in scenarios that are late nights, early morning upgrades, things like that. Whatever the case may be, you're going to have things happen. And our mental attitude is important to be able to get through all those scenarios, no matter what it is, whether it's in your personal life, we all have things that go on, or whether it's in your professional life, you're going to come into work all jazzed, ready for things to go. The phone starts ringing, right? A system may fail. You've got all kinds of deadlines you have to deal with. And all of a sudden your positivity just goes right into the toilet. We need to refocus that and realize we're here for a purpose. And that may mean getting up for 5 minutes, walking around the building, walking outside, enjoying this. In Florida, we have sunshine. we're fortunate with that, so getting outside and enjoying that sunshine. Look at the grass that's grown, a nice green grass, or if you're anywhere else, the fall leaves. You have that up north. Those are the little things that we can take a minute to just enjoy and realize we're here for a greater purpose. And I help people to see that greater purpose that's within them and share that with the world.
Yeah, I love that you bring up the taking in nature. I work a lot with people and encompassing gratitude and really pulling that inward to experience that feeling and project that positive outward. And one of the suggestions I make if they don't know where to start is just get out in nature. And I completely agree with you. It's hard to just be out there and not be in awe and in gratitude and feel, just so much more calm.
Yeah.
So I really love that perspective that you share as well with that. So yeah, I agree with you. You get into work and you may have this positive mindset going in, but it gets derailed sometimes so quickly, and other people and negative forces around you too. How are you maintaining, or how do your clients, how do you suggest that they maintain this positive outlook when maybe there's a lot of negative going around, meetings, other people they work with, et cetera?
And that's the key thing is this isn't Pollyanna. Positivity is not Pollyanna by any means. It doesn't mean stick your head in the sand and forget everything else. We have to deal with everything. I mean, we're not here permanently. All of us are going to end up in a box, big or small someday, and we're not going to be here. But the reality is while we're here, why not make the best of that trip? We're going to have things that go wrong. How do we deal with that? One is just knowing that they're coming. Whether you're coming out of a storm or going into you're going to be going into a storm. One of those two, it's always a cycle. Something's going to happen. The kids will act up. Something will break. The other week, I went to change a sprinkler head in my yard, and it turned into a $7 sprinkler head replacement into a $300 sprinkler motor replacement because the motor had died.
Ouch.
Just one of those things that, okay, things happen. Is it fun? No. Did I want to change the sprinkler pump? No. But, it was inevitable that eventually it was going to wear out. And we have to be prepared for that. We have to have a mindset that says, I can do this. I'm greater than this issue right in front of me. And I'm not saying it's easy by any means because, especially with, for instance, death, that's a life event that will occur. And we all have to understand that's part of the process of life. And that's not, it takes time to overcome that. It takes time to deal with the emotions of that. And I'm not saying don't deal with those. We need to deal with those, but we also on the other side need to understand it's part of the process. We're here created from a great creator. And that image that we're created from, wow, we can handle a lot. We can handle anything. And when we step up to those challenges, it's like working out. We keep building up and our strength increases and we can overcome these hurdles as they come. And pretty soon you're realizing, wow, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad. And of course it doesn't come when you're 15. It comes when you're 30 plus. You start to realize, hey, this is getting a little easier because you understand that value of continuing to move forward, continuing to strive forward, continuing to realize you have the greatness within you to overcome these hurdles. And I think that's what's important for a lot of people is just helping them to realize that value they have within them.
Yes, I think that perspective shift is key, and it's hard to build that up, and it's hard to be able to acknowledge that, oh wait, I'm sliding more into the negative, I need to shift back to my positive again. Do you have any suggestions that you give to your clients on how to build that up and be able to shift back to that positive perspective when they get derailed?
Sure. There's a couple, for instance, that I use. And like I mentioned, it's knowing that I have the ability to do it. Is it always easy? No, but I know I can do it. It's just like anything that goes on, whether it's at work or personal life, your strength within you is greater than we believe. And that's the hard part to overcome is the realization that we're great. People don't understand that sometimes, and you've got to realize that you're great. Everybody has greatness within them, and taking that value and using it in your life positively is a great aspect. And that's whether it's, like you said, going outside and just realizing the greenery and the greatness around you. That's settling of your mind, because if you start focusing on the negative, it's just a spiral effect, and it's going to take you down a road you don't need to be in. If you go outside and realize something bigger than you is calming. If you think about it, people go to the beach and they like watching the waves, but there is so much power behind those waves. And yet that's a calming thing. And they go out and look at the stars, and there's billions and billions of stars, and it's calming and it's quiet. But if you really look at it, stars are what, explosions and powerful light coming from millions of miles away. There's a lot of power behind that calming. We've got to realize we have a piece of that power, and we can overcome a lot of these things we fear or we think are hurdles that are holding us back. And so
Yeah.
that's a couple things to look at.
Well, I love the energy and the enthusiasm that you have coming through. I can really tell that you're feeling this and you're experiencing it. Can you explain to me like how your life has changed since you found that you know, this positive way of looking at life in every situation?
Sure. And that goes way back. When I was 6 years old, I lost my mother to cancer. And that was, you know, I was 6. I didn't understand why she was gone.
Yeah.
But that I remember getting ready for the funeral and realizing, I went in my closet and realizing, you know what, she's not here, but the sun's still coming up.
Wow. At 6 years
And
old.
yeah, I'm not a child prodigy by any means. I mean, it took me a while to put these pieces together, but as I progressed, that same year, I lost my grandmother. Two months later, my grandfather on Christmas Day. This was a process I realized early in life that was going to be occurring because my parents were older. They lived through the Great Depression. My dad was a World War II vet, and so that idea of things are going to happen was a reality I had to face very early. And so as I got older, I realized that, you know what, we're going to have to get through this. And my dad always helped us to focus on some type of normalcy. Even if he was mowing the lawn, we would climb some apple trees we had, he'd tug at our feet, or we'd try to make fun of different things we had to do just because things had to get done. And so realizing you can have fun while you're doing certain things, even though hard things happen. If you're still breathing and you're still on the green side of the grass, we've got great opportunity in front of us. And realizing that helps us to take those actions and go after the things we want to achieve. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. But we can also ask the question of others that have gone through it before us. How did you deal with it? What's going on? You know, how did you feel during this scenario? And so that's, I think, a big piece in what helps people to grow is knowing that we're not alone in this world either. There's billions and billions of people. And I guarantee you there's somebody that went through the same thing you did. Even with your story, Jennifer, it's that ability to realize we have greatness and we can overcome an individual challenge in a, you know, what could be a hard scenario in front of us. We have that ability to overcome it. And that's a great concept to be able to share with people.
Yeah, and I think too many people don't realize that they have that ability inside them, and they just succumb to, you know, the victim mentality or the woe is me. I'm just going to wallow in this, and I'm just going to just trudge through day after day. When they, it's they just should realize, you know, it's in you. The joy is in you. The happiness is in you. It will come back. And you have to process grief. It's, you know, things like that happen and they can't just be brushed to the side and said, oh, I'm going to be happy again today. You have to process that. You have to go through it. And like you said, there's so many people that have been through it before. It's great to look at people as an example, to ask, you know, how did you get through it? What helped you the most? Connect to people and lean into people during those tough times. But then to try and regain that positive perspective as best you can. I really love that. So.
Yeah.
Question I'd like to ask of all my guests is, you know, what do you want to leave behind? So, you know, say 10 years from now and then 100 years from now when you're gone, you know, what is it that you hope to leave behind through the work that you're doing?
I hope it's the later you said 100 years from now. Okay with me, not 10, you know.
Well, 10 in the short term, what's
Yeah.
next for you? And then 100 in terms of what do you want to leave behind?
Yeah.
Two-part question.
I just want to grow the aspect to help people to realize, especially in the times we're in today, there's so much confusion. There's so much hardship. There's so much, people are fearful of things going on and not sure which direction to go. Understanding we have abilities within us and greatness. If we're peaceful to people all around us, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. We all bleed red. We all hurt. We all cry when we're hurt. It doesn't matter. We want the best for our families and we want to be decent to people. I think truly people do want to be decent to each other. And so understanding that aspect and understanding that positivity that we can have today in our world is something that I strive for. Help people to understand that ability of positiveness in any environment. It makes the environment fun. Why not have fun with what you're doing? I mean, we're going to be here for a long time. Why not have fun with it? Enjoy your life, enjoy what you do and who you're with. And I think that's important. 100 years from now, I just hope people realize that growth, that ability to see, you know what, that positive perspective, it works. It does help me. It's helped my family. It's helped us change from a direction we were going down that may have been a dark path and brought us into a better path, a better realization that we can do more, that we are more than what we initially thought, that we don't have to live in fear, that we can grow and help each other with a positive perspective and help each other get through scenarios. I think that would be a good scenario for our future.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I love that. I think that we can all use more positive and more uplifting each other in this world. It's a really tough time for a lot of people. And so people listening might wonder, well, where do I start? You know, what if I'm in a place where it's been raining for 6 days? I can't get outside. I can't go take a walk in nature. It's just the weather's prohibiting it. What little steps can I implement in my life to start heading in that positive direction today?
You see me with a big smile on my face. There's a reason. And when I bring up my PC in the morning, there's a picture that comes up and it's various places in the world. And I saw one the other day of a place in Fiji. Okay. You can Google anything, right? Google these places that you may want to go to. That's a quick start. Okay, it's been raining for 6 days, and you guys have some weather up in Washington, right?
Yep,
It's
it's coming in.
yeah, oh yeah. So maybe you're going to be inside for a few days. Google those places that you want to be outside with. They have all kinds of videos going on right now, vacation videos and videos about mountain climbing and different things, even on TV. If you watch TV, watch the Nature Channel. I mean, you can go across the world and see amazing things by some of these educational shows. People say, well, that's boring. Is it? What do you get when you're there? I mean, see the lions, see the zebras of the African safari, understand how the rain makes things greener and that thrives life. I mean, that's exciting. Go to the mountaintops of Hawaii and understand the foliage there, or swim in the oceans with the sharks if that's what you want to do. Look at some of those things. Those are quick, easy things you can do on Google, right? You can Google anything. You want to swim with the sharks, Google it, and you'll find all kinds of videos, YouTube it. There's a lot of, with the technology we have, there's no reason we can't get to some of those scenarios we want to see. And eventually, build our bucket list and maybe go there in person. So why not try that?
Okay, so just to play devil's advocate, so with the travel restrictions and the lockdowns and the phases right now, what if that creates this sense of, well, I can't do that. I'm so restricted right now. And it pulls someone inward saying like, I'd love to do this, but it reminds them of all the things they can't do. Do you have any suggestions if they start going down that track?
Plan ahead. This isn't permanent. Okay, this too shall pass, as Tony Robbins would say. It's going to pass eventually. Yes, it's going to take a while. We don't know when, but while we're in it, make the best of it. Enjoy what you're looking at. Enjoy what you're seeing. Like we discussed earlier, take a minute and go outside. If it's raining, okay, think of the rain, what the rain does. It makes things grow. It flourishes things. It helps things to get greener. Enjoy that. And yeah, out west, they're dealing with forest fires. And unfortunately, that's, a drier climate, but the forest fires clear out the old, bring in the new growth. There's ways to enjoy what will be coming. Understand that this isn't permanent. And the future is what we can focus on. The ability to be able to do these things, the ability to just enjoy what you're seeing, what you're doing, enjoy breathing. Okay. Some people have trouble doing it too. Enjoy family time. Enjoy those moments you have right in front of us. The present is called the present because it's a gift, right?
Absolutely. I agree with you there. Yeah. And I love what you said earlier about that. This is not some Pollyanna type spiel. It's, you attract what you focus on.
Definitely.
And when you focus on more positive, you bring more positive into your life. I think we can all attest to times that we wallow in our misery and we get into that negative, and it's amazing how many people will want to commiserate with you and talk about their negative, and it just snowballs into this awful thing. But when you focus on the positive, you bring positive out in other people, and the same thing snowballs. So which direction do you want to go? I think that
Right.
it's a no-brainer to me. I want to go the positive route.
Yeah, let's change the water cooler conversations, you know? Let's make them positive. And it's always funny because you'll start to do that and some people will dissipate. But, you know, as the Bible says, you could keep sowing your seeds and it's going to fall on some rough soil sometimes. It's going to catch on some and grow there and prosper. So why not try it and let it grow?
Absolutely. Well, I love that. So that's a great ending note. So Bob, if somebody wants to reach out to you and wants to learn more about what you do and how you might be able to help them, how would they best do that?
Oh, they can go to my website at www.bobbrummspeaks.com. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, even Twitter, and I just blanked out on the other one, but on all the social media channels, I'm out there. So feel free to contact me, look me up. I'd be glad to help. I do a lot of things virtually now. We're doing this podcast virtually, but I can do virtual keynotes, or I can do virtual group sessions as well, and individual online. So feel free to contact me. I'd love to help, and be glad to, you know, help anybody that would like the service.
Well, fantastic. Well, we definitely need more encouragement engineers out there, and we need that field to grow exponentially. So I love what you're doing, Bob. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we will see you again on the next podcast of Upward Trajectory. Thank you so much, and take care.
Thanks, Jennifer.